everybody, this is Ray with Unicorn Riot. We're here at DEFCON 26 in the Monero Village, speaking with Paul. Paul, can you tell us a little about Monero and yourself here?
Sure. I'm the CEO of a Monero wallet, and Monero is a privacy-focused cryptocurrency.
What does privacy-focused mean then?
Privacy-focused means that we need to protect the users who are actually using these cryptocurrencies because they leave a paper trail. And you wouldn't want someone to know how much you're carrying in your wallet when you travel abroad, for example. So that's like a really obvious use case for it.
Can you talk a little bit about what cryptocurrency is for those who don't know?
Sure. Basically, we need a medium of exchange whenever we exchange something of value. Cash and bank account balances and things like that are what we currently use. One of the problems with the current cash system, it's like referred to as a fiat system, is that it's basically managed by a central governor, and that means that you have to trust them. And so one of the major innovations with cryptocurrencies is the ability to transact with other people without really having to trust them.
And how's that possible? I've heard there's a ledger of sorts. Okay,
that's actually a little bit of a misnomer. There isn't so much a ledger as there is just a supply of coins that get moved around and divided. The way that this really works is via one of the major innovations of Bitcoin, which is something called Nakamoto consensus. And it works via a series of incentives coupled with a set of technologies that make it possible to make sure everyone's playing by the same rules. But as long as they do so, then they get a financial benefit for doing so.
What are those rules that are being played by?
Well, the rules are basically that everyone is mining blocks. And you mine blocks in a certain way, and everyone agrees on how you mine them. And if you happen to mine a block correctly, you get a certain reward for it. And that's part of the incentive system that keeps the economics of all of this stuff going.
Speaking of blocks, can you talk a little bit about what blockchain is?
Sure. So basically, I mentioned before that there isn't really so much of a ledger as there is just a set of coins. And the way that blockchains work is that miners organize transactions into blocks according to the fees that people pay. And so they choose what goes into blocks, and if they mine it successfully, they get a block reward. It's basically a system whereby successive blocks are all validated by previous blocks. And so if someone tries to change a block that's really far in the past, it's going to change everything after that. And so everyone will be able to see that very easily. And so that's why one of the terms that we hear when we talk about blockchain is the security of the network. It means how much verification there is and how hard it is for other people that are on the network to change it without agreement from everyone else.
So I think I asked this in a different way before, but how is Monero different from, say, Bitcoin?
Okay, that's a great question. A lot of people think Bitcoin is private,
right?
But it's not. The blockchain, well, all blockchains are public. Everyone needs to have the current blockchain. But the Bitcoin blockchain is susceptible to forensic analysis. And that means that someone can come and look at the metadata associated with these blocks, and they can look and see where certain transactions coming from, who it's going to, how much it's for, things like that. And all of that is stored forever on everyone's computer.
Yeah.
And so Monero takes a bit of sort of a piecewise approach or a stepwise approach to eliminating these traces of personally identifying or trackable information. And so it uses different cryptographic techniques to accomplish that. There are other really interesting features of Monero, such as sort of this common thread where technology that seems to be superior is readily adopted or at least readily vetted by the community, because they want to stay ahead of things. They want to make sure that privacy is protected at all costs. The thing about Bitcoin that makes privacy really important, in my opinion, is that because the supply of Bitcoin is fixed, if you can tell where a given coin came from, and if that history of that coin indicates that that coin can no longer be used because it was connected to, for example, criminal activity, that means that those particular coins need to be taken out of circulation. And if the coin supply is fixed, that means eventually the total number of coins is going to go to zero. That's a major problem. So that's something that ability to exchange any given coin for any other given coin is a property that some people say any real money has to have, and it's called fungibility. And so privacy is not only important from a safety perspective, but it's also important to actually ensure the soundness of the money. And then Monero also has some other interesting features, like it's supposed to have better long-term scaling characteristics than other cryptocurrencies because it's got a flexible block size and it's got a design that allows for that.
So is this the first year of this village?
Yes, it is the first year. We were really, really pleased that DEFCON allowed us to have a village here. Pretty surprised because we think it indicates that Monero and cryptocurrencies in general are coming into the mainstream a little bit.
Yeah.
People are starting to get some awareness of these things, and people don't really understand how important privacy is until something really bad happens to them. So the more we can prepare people with education and information, the better.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a cryptocurrency village here at DEFCON. What was surprising about it to you that they allowed it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that a lot of people associate technologies that are specifically for privacy with danger because they could be used by criminals. And so, we have to be really careful how we introduce this technology. Privacy, I think, is very important to the hacker crowd, so it makes a lot of sense that something like cryptocurrencies and Manero would be appropriate to talk about here. But I guess the thing that surprised me the most was just that we didn't think that many people really knew about Manero yet. It's growing so quickly. So.
How old is Manero?
So Manero was created in 2014. It was released in 2014. And it came out of a white paper, like a description of a protocol that's completely different from Bitcoin. So the code base is also completely new. Everything was built custom for that new protocol.
Right.
One of the things that we are really trying to work on now in the Monero community is usability.
Okay.
And so a lot of people are springing up to create new tools and new wallets, and there's just a lot of really exciting work. I want to invite everyone to come hang out on IRC and chat with us and ask the different community members and researchers their questions, because it's an extremely friendly community, and everyone's always been really helpful in my experience.
What other things besides usability are you hoping for working towards within Monero?
Okay, that's a great question actually. So earlier there was a talk about an exchange that a lot of people are interested in having Monero listed on. But one of the problems with these very strong privacy cryptocurrencies, of which there really is only one, realistically, is that it makes it harder for these exchanges to ensure that they're complying with regulatory requirements, or at least it appears that way. And so we're also looking very much into improvements we can make to Monero to make it possible for users to preferentially expose things like their balance, to prove a balance. But for example, without having to show their transaction history. Because that's really what the regulators care about. They just want to know, like, okay, this is the balance, that's what's moving in and out.
Yeah. So right now, Monero is completely private. It's anonymous, right? But yeah, you're looking in the future to kind of like toggle that on and off.
Well, so there's this feature called a view key. And a view key is a secret key that you're supposed to not show to anyone, generally speaking. You can show it to someone though. And one reason you might want to do that is if you wanted to prove to another person what the status of your wallet is. And so that's definitely a way that people can prove to regulators or some sort of KYC, AML type organization, what their balance is. We want to give people more granular control, or we want to give people more appropriate control for the specific use cases that they have.
Sure. Okay, well, thanks a lot.
No problem.